we wanted to noodle on this theme of moving from physical assets or products to services, using data as the trigger, the value you reveal, and it's a move we see playing out across every industry, and it's a theme already in this research. If you don't create valuable services that savvy modern customers are actively looking for, then someone else will do that, and you'll miss the boat. So whether it was Slack or Xerox or Huawei or Castle Water, they've been doing just that in our earlier discussions. And we'll just hammer this point out by drilling in on a few examples where we didn't limit ourselves to telco or utilities to find some lessons on how open-minded they got to drive change in search of new value. I mentioned Apple, but they are following the path taken by Microsoft. Microsoft were closed, wall garden types, I suppose, but changed tack and have gone all open-minded and partnerships based under Satya Nadella. The share price on the left suggests it's going well, and whether or not it's true when you watch this, they are back on top of the charts as the most valuable company in the world. No one would have predicted that when they were getting themselves hammered with Windows Mobile. Quietly, they put Office onto Android and iOS. They bought LinkedIn, bought Minecraft, Mojang to get them into gaming. They got to know developers through GitHub, and they got to know VR through HoloLens, and there's the whole Skype and Microsoft Teams and Office 365 communications that's growing. So they did a lot of buying to learn from the outside. We've mapped out here the differences that we see between the Balmer era of shouting that it's Windows or else, and how softly spoken Satya is all about collaboration and launching new services with partners. I mean, Azure is an ecosystem that learns from its users, from the data of usage. They're not selling Windows licenses exclusively anymore. They've got a services mindset, and they sell more of their services by being the power, the brain behind the user's growth, rather than out in front as they used to be. So these are kind of differences, the flip from open to close, from products to services, from exclusive to collaborative. And that's a lot of attitude and culture that's come from Satya Nadella. Seems like a perfect time to say this old story is well known but fits right in. The Rolls-Royce engine, power by the hour. Why would someone say, have I got to spend all this money on maintenance when I just bought a really expensive $5 million jet engine? And how did they go about changing that to make it fit and more customer friendly and fit the modern era? And let's not quibble that this matches the experience of General Motors when trying to sell their OnStar services to people who bought an expensive car. Why would people be doing that when Kia are selling cars with 7-year warranties? Things have changed, and the customer wins, I guess, in the end, and the model changes. So Rolls-Royce changed the model, and rather than selling that upfront capital outlay, have started billing airlines by how many hours of flying the engine's done, and taken on the responsibility for the maintenance of the engine, which of course they know much better than anyone at an airline. So it's actually a shift in the ownership model and more of a lease than a sale, because Rolls-Royce now decide maybe it's time to put a new engine in place to keep their side of the bargain on the flying miles when the data tells them it's time. But equally, careful maintenance on any one engine might make it a more useful ongoing revenue source for months longer than they might have been able to predict in the old days, because they get to know the engine itself rather than the products that are listed across the tens of thousands of engines. They can look at each one individually by the data of their performance, which of course changes by weather and distance and how often it's used. So that's the Rolls-Royce products to service story. And we'll just finish this one here by touching on BlackRock Aladdin, which I've picked out. Just worth saying, isn't it, that there's all actually service revenue here is moved towards subscriptions, billing by the day or the month. It's rather than that capital outlay, it's the subscription, the recurring revenue that everyone wants. And of course, it's just struck me that Adobe for design licenses is exactly that story as well. And yeah, in fact, hundreds of other subscriptions that come out of our bank accounts, particularly mine, every month. Anyway, BlackRock Aladdin, another technology story, a shift from a big main product to new services. And this is the representation of BlackRock, but this actually also happened to Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. And just to put it simply, if you haven't read it on screen already, they built Aladdin to be the best data platform in the industry for them to use to pick the right investments, because that's what they do. They did that, of course, for themselves and their own analysts and their advisors. but it became actually a de facto kind of industry benchmark standard to such a degree that they ended up making it available at a tasty premium, of course, to rivals like Deutsche Asset Management and Schroders, and it's become a significant new revenue stream. At difficult times in the market for investing your own money, getting people access to the same data to invest their money, new revenue stream, significant, and spreads risk for BlackRock. It's a modern trend and the ultimate in working out the true value of your unique data to someone else and then monetizing it without, of course, cannibalizing your business in the process. You better make sure you don't do that.